Hey, hang on a second. Okay. Sarah's all confused because she thought we were doing one thing and we're doing another. That never happens, right, Sarah?
It's just like Eddie. Change it last minute and don't give me a heads up. I mean, it is what it is.
Well, let's get started with hey, welcome to another exciting edition of Insurance Questions Podcast. On this week's episode, will Sassy Sarah keep on becoming more sassy and show us her large head on the screen?
Yes.
Will Donnie Lowe just shake his head in disgust as normal? Will Eddie just aggravate the crap out of everybody as usual? I can
One
talk
minute,
very
one
well.
million percent.
I can talk very well. And just remember that all the comments and statements by Eddie Buffalo, Sassy Sarah, and Donnie Lowe are solely for entertainment purposes. Do your thing, Sarah, so we can get started.
Like, subscribe, share, follow, do all the things on all the places, on all the platforms, and bug Eddie on TikTok. Send us any questions you have. We'll talk about it on the podcast. And he really loves the attention. Tell him he's a sexy beast.
Hit that fan mail button. Type in "sexy beast Eddie B."
I give up.
I was trying to help you, Donnie.
I just totally give up. Well,
go to our YouTube channel. Hold on. Go to our YouTube channel so you can see the expressions on Sarah's face when Eddie says something kind of out there.
Yes. And for those who have not listened, Eddie has given Donnie the hardest time because everyone finds him sexy on social media and that's trending. So, I had to help him with his ego and call him a sexy beast because
Donnie's too sexy for this show. Too sexy for this show. And he is a hoe.
Oh my god.
That's all I got. So Sarah, you are not going to be Mrs. Donnie today in our little play because we got some really whoppers of viewers' questions that we thought that we would like to get through. And Donnie's not surprised. I already went over the questions with him. So it's going to start off slow, but you'll see by the end it's like, what the bleep, 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 bleep.
That's awesome.
Bleep, bleep, bleep.
He read the questions, but we did not answer the questions.
So this is podcast episode 122, Wednesday, August 14th, 2024. So no more nonsense. We're going to get started.
All right. Let's dig right in. We're going to
start with Steve, 63 from Revere, Mass. So, hey, you guys, how much is too much insurance?
So, like I answer a lot of questions, it depends. And there is a point where you can have too much insurance according to the insurance company. So if you're 62 years old, you're making $50,000 a year, and you're looking to get $10 million worth of insurance, the insurance companies may have an issue with that. They might say, well, what do you need that much insurance coverage for? Now, there may be underlying potential where you own a lot of property, you get a lot of rental income, but you're only reporting your salary from your job. So they'll look at that. But that might be a case where it's in the insurance company's eyes, it's just too much insurance coverage. So thoughts on that, Ed?
No, I think you were spot on that. It's really to make it a little bit easier. They're going to tell you if you got too much insurance. They're not going to let you get it, just like Donnie said.
Yeah.
So shoot for the moon. If you want a lot of coverage, ask for it. If they don't want to give it to you, they'll come back and tell you what you can get. And more than likely, it's going to be less money that you have to pay out of pocket anyway. So it's a win-win for everybody.
Absolutely. And they may ask you, well, why do you believe you need this much coverage?
Mm-hmm.
Too.
Definitely. All right, we're going to move on to a little bit closer to you back home, Donnie. Phyllis, 72 from Erie, PA.
Okay.
What is the age that I should have my kids take over their own policies and pay for them? Good question.
Yeah, so Phyllis, again, it depends how responsible you believe they are with financial information. So if they're responsible financially, 18 is the where they can take over their own policy. But we have clients where they've got children in their 30s, and they say, you know what, I still want to control this, because if I give it to them, they're just going to take the cash value out of that whole life policy and just drain it. So know your children, know what their financial acumen is.
Yeah.
Are they going to just splurge and just waste it, or are they going to really save
And
it?
I saw that up close, Don, because I went over to a family in South Buffalo, and he wanted more insurance for him and the wife. And he was all proud, his son, he's doing great. He's got a great job. He's a good kid. He goes, oh yeah, I let him start taking care of his policy like 7 years ago. So how's it doing? And I'm like, what policy? So it was a really good whole life policy that the kid had a bunch of dividends in it. And after 5 years, it went through all that money paying for the premiums because the kid never paid a dime.
Oh my goodness.
And let me tell you, my client was not happy at all.
I believe that.
Yeah, it wasn't great.
I believe
Where'd you go, Sarah?
I am training my new employee, and so I had to hop off real quick and didn't need to divulge client information over a podcast. So,
oh, and by the way, me and Donnie, well, it was Donnie's idea, that we're going to vote on the best question, and that person's going to win a podcast tumbler. What do you think about that? Pretty fancy.
That sounds awesome. Although we do have a lot of amazing listeners, and we're going to get to a point where it's going to be hard to decide a good question. So maybe if there's a lot of it, we'll put it in like a little.
The three of us are going to vote on it, so that's what we're going to vote on right now.
Well, no, we can get the little cage thing they use for bingo, and put the names in there.
Way too much work. No, we're not doing it.
Oh, that would be fun. Get the ping pong balls.
Assign a number to each.
Exactly. And then B9. Like, that would be amazing.
All right. Hey, somebody close to us. What's your name? Sarah? Roberta, 56, from Salina, Texas.
Salina.
What type of life changes do I have to let the insurance company know about so I can update my policy?
Another wonderful question. So people might ask, what are life-changing events? And it's really getting married, birth of a child, maybe a divorce or a death of a spouse. Those are all things that impact an individual tremendously, not only emotionally, but financially. So any one of those life-altering or life-changing events is a great time to have your policy reviewed. Sit down with your financial representative, and just let them know what's going on in your life, and they can make some good advice for you.
Very good.
What happens if somebody loses a job, or let's say positive things are happening and they get a really big promotion and raise? Is that another factor that they should discuss with you guys their insurance person?
Not really. I mean, if it was a case where they couldn't afford the insurance anymore, there's different things we can do to help them out of that situation.
Yeah, but if they get a big promotion and now they're
sounds like they're annuity buyers if they get a big promotion.
So that could be another thing where they knew all along that what they had wasn't quite enough, but that's all they could afford at the time. Mm-hmm. That might be the great opportunity. Now they want to really have their family set for life, and they can afford it now.
That's a good one, Don.
Yeah, so good interjection there, Sarah.
Are you ready, Sarah? It's
sure.
going to get interesting the next, how many we got left with Don? Like 4?
3 or 4, yeah.
Okay, here we go. Sunny, 43, don't know if it's a boy or a girl, from Vallejo, California. I hope I'm saying that right. When I'm getting insurance, does underwriting care if I'm gay?
Are you going to try to answer that one, Sarah? You look like you're thinking about it.
Well, no, I think I don't think that matters. It's more of how promiscuous people are just because of the risk, but that depends on the type of insurance. But
That has
that's
nothing
just
to do with it.
Yeah.
no, no,
What's
no,
wrong with
no.
you?
I'm saying I don't know. That's the only thing I would see as an issue, not necessarily who you're taking into the bedroom, if that's your thing. I mean, who knows? Everybody has their own little weird things, which we're not going to get into because that's not the type of podcast this is.
It,
Um,
Let
it
me
should
let me
not matter.
interject here.
It should not matter.
It does not matter.
Mm-mm.
No questions on the
Me
insurance.
and Donnie have been married for many years, very happily,
Yeah.
and we had no problem getting our insurance.
well, and
Wouldn't
the
that be
reason,
scary,
the
Donnie?
only reason I bring up the promiscuity,
Easy for
because
you to
you think of
say.
early. I know it's not. Early 20s, some people just go buck wild. I mean, I've met people who got divorced in their 40s and 50s that just go insane. I didn't know if that factors in with life insurance because obviously there might be more risks with that, which is why I thought possibly. But,
No, so that question is not asked.
okay.
The only thing is that part of the process, depending on the age and the amount applied for, they may and some of the lab work that is taken, they may do an HIV test.
I was just going to say that. Yeah.
Yeah, because there's a question on the application. Where would you like the HIV results sent to? And it's
Okay.
either yourself or to your physician, typically.
So, Eddie, you need to quit hooking until after you get the life insurance that causes the blood test. I'm just saying. Isn't that what you used to say at the earlier podcast? Hookers got a hook?
I would never say anything like that. I'm a good Catholic boy from South Boston.
Oh, okay. Remember, this is
You
video
must have me
documented.
confused with somebody else. Yes.
So yeah, so it's Sunny, right from is it
Sunny
Mission
from-
Viejo?
It says Vallejo. I don't know.
I think
Yeah,
it's
what do I know?
Viejo. I think it's
You're a lot smarter than I am, Donnie Lowe.
Oh.
All right, Donnie, we're going back towards you.
Okay.
Sandy, you might have an answer for us on this question, Sarah. Sandy, 27, from Niagara Falls, New York. I'm going through a divorce. Is life insurance considered an asset?
That would be more of a legal question. To my understanding is everything can be considered in the divorce unless there's a prenup. But you have to list everything, even if it's in your name or your soon-to-be ex-husband's name, it has to be listed.
Yeah, what I would tell Sandy is and Ed and I were talking a little bit about this particular question. A whole life policy may be considered an asset because there's cash value there. A term policy, probably not. But you're right, Sarah. Seek the advice of a legal professional and a financial, tax accountant.
I'm wondering, Don, and I really don't know this answer, and we're going to do some research on it and get back to everybody next week. Like, say if you have a ton of money in dividends built up, you're saying, screw this, I don't want her to get that. I'm going to take all that money out. I wonder if you can get penalized by doing that.
Yes, you can.
I'm wondering on that original policy if the soon-to-be ex-spouse is listed as a beneficiary.
Oh, that's a good question.
So I think there's a lot of implications on how it's all set up.
Right. And this is just my opinion because I've seen clients go through divorces and I've talked to divorce lawyers before. It's one of the situations of even if it was before the marriage, you cannot liquidate any asset without talking with a judge or the courts because then it's seen as you're hiding assets.
Yeah.
It can be a bigger issue. It can cause much more complications with the judge being upset because you are trying to hide assets. It's one of the, you can't, if you start the divorce proceedings, you cannot sell the house until the courts say, this is how we're splitting everything. More protection to make sure somebody doesn't run off with the funds, but also to make sure who's supposed to get the house if they can afford it without the other spouse and all the scenarios there. So always seek advice from a legal professional. That's just my experience from what I've seen. And of course, again, I'm in Texas, so it may be different for people in different states and different counties as well.
True.
I remember years ago, Don, on a case, I had a gentleman come to me, and they were making him get life insurance and make the ex-wife the beneficiary because of the job that he did. I forget what the heck he was doing. It was just such a dangerous job. He wasn't on one of the lists where, it precludes him from getting insurance. But that was part of their divorce settlement, that he had to get insurance and maintain insurance on himself and her.
Yeah, that's 100% correct. And as we were talking, I thought of two different clients that I have. One was he needed to set up a separate policy where his ex was the sole beneficiary. And in another situation, the client came to me and said, my attorney is telling me I need to list all of my policies. And he had several policies, term and whole life policies. So we had to break it down. What was the length left on the term policy? What was the death benefit coverage for those policies? On the whole life, what was the current cash value? And we had to list all the beneficiaries that were currently on all those policies. So I had to come up and I had to give him all that information. Again, divorce is one of those life altering events. And so many times we'll see if there's a breadwinner and the spouse, stay-at-home mom or dad, or making a quarter of what the breadwinner's earning. If you have a good divorce attorney, that attorney will tell you, well, since your ex is the major breadwinner, you want to make sure that you have income coming in case something happens to the breadwinner. So they will, as part of the divorce decree, make sure that breadwinner has life insurance policy with the ex, soon to be ex, as the sole beneficiary.
Great questions today. They really are.
They're fantastic.
They are. All right, now, Joan from Phoenix, Arizona, 53. Joan, if you are having thoughts of suicide or anything like that, please contact someone. As we like having fun on this show, but your question kind of concerns me a little bit. Yeah. Joan, 53, from Phoenix, Arizona, wants to know if someone commits suicide, does their life insurance pay?
So with every insurance company that I'm aware of, there is a 2-year kind of look back. And if somebody should commit suicide within the first 2 years of a life insurance policy going into effect, the company will not pay the death benefit. What they will do is reimburse to the family whatever the premiums that were paid for that policy. Mm-hmm. No interest earned, no cash value at all. Just if they put in over 2 years, or say 18 months, $2,000 of premium, they'll get $2,000 worth of premium, not the $500,000 of life insurance coverage.
Now, I have a question for you, Don, and I don't know if you'll know this answer, if this is something we have to research also. Say I already have $100,000 through XYZ company, and I want to do an additional $50,000. So I go through the underwriting. My health is good. I end up getting, and I kill myself in 3 months. So it pays out the 100,000 and not the 50.
Correct.
That's what I'm guessing.
You're right. As long as that 100,000 was more than 2 years ago, in force. So yes, that is correct.
I had a gentleman that had existing insurance, and he ended up getting an additional 150, I think, and he died in 12 weeks. So I know they actually investigated everything to see if there was something that didn't show up on the physical, because he went through underwriting, did the physical, everything was fine. It's just it was a horrible circumstance had that happened, and I know
Yeah.
they did not pay out the additional amount, the one that he got
Because
after the fact.
a lot of times they will pay it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, and I was going to ask, because your stuff falls straight into it, is what happens if it looks fishy? For example, how you mentioned insurance happens and they pass away a few weeks later, or let's say the insurance company finds out that they have all these different policies, there's one beneficiary and it's for millions of dollars, or it looks like a car wreck, but what steps do they take to make sure that that does not happen, to where someone is taken care of because somebody knows a guy
Yeah.
just for the insurance? Because that happens, unfortunately.
That's true. So in the case of like illness, and you mentioned that somebody passed away about 12 weeks after they initiated a policy, if the applicant intentionally misleads or withholds information, health related information, that's grounds for not paying on the policy. As far as outside activities, somebody has a lot of insurance and their car blows up or something,
Mm-hmm.
I, I'm not 100% sure about that. I've never come across that, but I'm thinking that the insurance company will want to look at actual cause of death. If it's a criminal investigation, they may want to dig into that before they pay
Yeah,
out.
they're just
But
not going to pay it,
yeah, they'll do some investigation.
And that leads us right into our last question of the day. Pete, 56, from Joliet, Illinois. Wasn't that where the Blues Brothers were from? Isn't that where Jake was in jail, Donnie?
Yeah, he spent a little time in Joliet.
If someone dies because of a violent crime, does that delay the death payment?
um,
Sounds like Pete's into some stuff.
we're not judging.
No,
So,
no.
um,
Well, Donnie judging you, Pete. So go after
no,
him.
yeah, and again, it kind of ties into the what we discussed on the last question. I'm sure that the insurance company will want some investigation to be done. They're not going to cut that check, within a week like they normally would process it.
Right.
So they'll want to see if there's criminal intent. I'm sure. Again, how long has the policy been in effect? That would have something to do with it, I'm sure. And a violent death. I mean, it could be somebody. Just a horrific car accident,
Yeah.
or was it a homicide type situation?
Well, that's what he was asking, if it's a direct result of a supposed crime.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, those are great questions. And I think we should maybe talk to an underwriting group and get back some specific information. We can share that in our next
Yeah, because
podcast.
it's very interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
So you got any questions for us, Sarah?
Not at the moment.
Those are fantastic questions, and from all around the country too.
Yes.
East Coast to West Coast. And
so let me ask you this: let's all vote for who should be the winner this week.
Ooh, we're doing it live on air.
Yes. What was your favorite question, Sarah?
I like the one that was asking about if someone commits suicide, because I know that's a lot of things that people want to know. Because unfortunately, mental health is not always the best. And instead of seeking guidance, whether they don't know who to reach out to, or that person just failed at helping them, or I know a lot of people look down at seeing a professional. So that's always good to know that it's always investigated. It's not the best idea, but if somebody is struggling with those, to actually go talk to a professional. And there's a lot of hotlines that they can reach out to as well. So I like that question.
How about you, Donnie? What are you going for?
Yeah, I was kind of torn because I do like that question. I like the question about at what age should a parent allow their child to take ownership of the policy. I think that's another great question. So, and then the divorce situation. So there's three. There's like those three
You
other
gotta
pops
pick
up.
one.
I
Don.
gotta
You
pick one. I would say, for brevity's sake, I'm going to agree with Sarah because mental
I'm gonna
health.
go. Even though I really like Pete's question, I'm gonna go with Phyllis in Phoenix. So Phyllis, we're gonna be sending you on a Tumblr. It'll probably take about a week to get it to you. But great question, and I hope you're not going through a rough time. I hope you were just asking a question.
Yes,
So,
exactly.
And if you do need help, I hope you get it.
Yeah, or if you ask that for a friend or a family member, help them.
Definitely. Well, I think this was a great show, and it wasn't long either. You know,
No.
I don't like the long shows, So keep on with the questions. Eventually we're going to go to part 2 of Donnie and Mrs. Donnie's
Discovery.
insurance inquiry. But if you like working with people that are just like you, we're the people to see. www.ebiagency.com. Our hotline 716-306-2020. You can reach Sassy Sarah on our partners page, and then
I'm number one.
Yeah,
number one.
So it's really weird. You're on the bottom today on my screen. I don't know why.
Yeah, because Donnie beat me coming into the podcast.
I
know.
I know you're training a new person, so good luck, new person.
KC, right?
Casey, yes.
Is it K, letter K, letter C, or is it like CASEY?
Like
letter K.
Man?
KC in the sunshine.
S-A-T-U-Y.
He passed away.
S-A-T-U-Y-D-A-Y.
Total wrong. Bay City Rollers.
That is Bay City Rollers. Why did
Oh my goodness. Get down tonight.
Pretty good on that. I guess I hit my header too hard today.
I think so.
Maybe. So tune in next Tuesday for Tax Tuesday with Sassy Sarah. And for your buddy Eddie Buffalo, Donnie Lowe, and Sassy Sarah, have a great weekend. And hopefully we don't have to have an emergency podcast on Friday. So until then, see you later. Take care.
Ciao.
See ya.